أيها الحاضرون، الحمد لله الذي زين السماء بالنجوم وزين الأرض بالأشجار وزين الكتب بالقرآن الكريم وزين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وزين الشهور بشهر رمضان. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين، والصلاة والسلام على الذي أرسله الله بنوره بمحمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آل الأطهار وأصحاب الأخيار وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة إلى آخر الآيات. صدق الله العظيم. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير بك نستعين الحمد الرحيم. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. All praises are definitely due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has beautified the skies with stars. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has beautified the earth with trees. All praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has beautified the books with Al-Quran al-Karim. All praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has beautified the prophets with Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has beautified the months with the month of Ramadhan. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the truest outcome is for the God-fearing. And we send abundant blessings and salutations upon the cream of creation, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And we send peace and blessings and salutations upon his beloved family members and upon his noble and choicest companions. We ask and we beg and we beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most high and the most elevated is He, that He make it easy for us and not to make it difficult. We ask and we beg and we beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most high is He, that He grant us all knowledge and grant us all understanding. Ameen thumma ameen. My dear esteemed and revered and beautiful and handsome brothers and sisters in Islam and faith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the last and final messenger, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, as having the noblest and the most magnifying of qualities. When he says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, that surely you will find the exemplary character, the most magnificent of etiquettes in the Muhammad, in the messenger, in the final prophet, none other than Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So from this verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we understood that when we want to have a beautiful character, when we want to have beautiful etiquettes, when we want to have noble adab, we have to look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding us. And as we are in the month of Ramadan, there's certain etiquette, there's certain morals, there's certain adab, whereby you and I should take from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at the table. And at the table means when you're about to eat something, whether it be the breaking of the fast or whether it be the pre-dawn meal. All of these things, we have to look how the Prophet ﷺ did it. Because this is what Allah is commanding us to do. Likewise, when we look at the Prophet ﷺ with his etiquette at the table, and the table doesn't necessarily mean with 4 legs. It also means the dastakan, as you see when we spread on the ground. All of this is manifestation and the adab and the etiquette of doing so. The Prophet ﷺ, and this hadith is mentioned in both Bukhari and Muslim. And even Ibn Qayyum, he mentioned it in his book, Al-Zad al-Ma'ad, whereby he states that whenever the Prophet ﷺ would break his fast, he would break his fast with wet dates. And the Prophet ﷺ commanded us to do so as well. He says, إِذَا أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيُفْطَرْ عَلَى تَمْرٍ فَإِنَّهُ بَرَكَاتٌ. That when any of you come to break your fast, or when any of you break your fast, for indeed break your fast with a date, فَإِنَّهُ بَرَكَاتٌ. For surely and indeed, that is a blessing. What is the blessing? The date. The Prophet ﷺ addressing us, informing us that indeed when you break your fast, break it with a date. For indeed in it, there's blessings. How can a date have blessings in it? When we look in the medicine, for those of us who study medicine, those of us who are doctors, they will tell you that indeed in the date, there are cures and healing in it for our stomach. There are properties in the date that is good for our gut. In the date for those who have diabetes, doctors recommend that you eat dates. And for those who are going through hardship with their difficulty in their strength and energy, they should eat dates. Likewise, even with the woman folk, if you want to attain beauty and appearance in your body, you eat dates. Some of us might think this find shocking. How can a woman eat dates and find beauty in her appearance? In the hadith in Sunan Abu Dawud, the Prophet ﷺ mentions whereby Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, may Allah be pleased with her. And this hadith is recorded by Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, that Aisha said that when her mother wanted to send her to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is after she got married to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that when she wanted to send her to the house to stay and reside in the house of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, tu'alijuni lis-sunnati, that her mother used to try to fatten her up. Not the type of fatten that you are thinking. Is to prepare her mentally, physically, in order for the marriage of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she used to fatten her up and prepare her for that. And she used to strive and do all types of things. But none of them used to work. And Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said, حَتَّى أَكَلْتُ كِفَاءً بِالْتَمَرِ, until I used to eat cucumbers with dates. فَسَمِنْتُ, and I became plump, كَأَحْسَنِ سُمْنَةٍ, the nice and beautiful plump. So Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said what? That her mother used to strive. She used to give her different types of food to fatten her up, to make her plump, but to go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam house. And none of that used to work until she ate cucumbers and dates. And what are the properties in cucumbers? We'll find when a person eats cucumbers, for indeed this rehydrates them. This gives them and removes dehydration from their bodies. And today some of us will waste cucumbers. This is a prophetic fruit, a prophetic vegetable. So the Prophet ﷺ, go back to the hadith now, understand why he says, فَإِنَّهُ بَرَكَةٌ. In the date, there is blessing. So the Prophet ﷺ is addressing you and I, that whenever we break our fast, break it with a date. And then he says, فَإِن لَمْ تَجِدْ. But if you don't find a date, then indeed drink water. فَإِنَّهُ تُقُولُ. For indeed it is quenching. So if you don't have dates to break your fast with, then break your fast with water. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, إِذَا أَحَدُكُمْ فَلْيُفْطَرْ. When any of you break your fast عَلَى الرَّطَبِ, upon moist dates. This is the dates which we all love, which is known as Majun. You know, some of us, when we see no Majun in our plate to break fast, and we see those skinny ones there, we say, look at these people, man. All they can give us these trying to basically break our fast. This is how we think. But then the Prophet says, but if you do not find the moist dates or the Majun dates, فَإِنَّهُ تَمَرٌ. Then break fast with the dry pitted ones. فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ. And if you do not find the dry pitted ones, فَحَسَّ حَسَوَاتُ الْمَاءِ. Then break your fast with sips of water. Look at this. The Prophet ﷺ said what? When you break your fast, break it with the moist dates. If you don't get the moist dates, then break it with the dry pitted one. If you don't get the dry pitted one, then break your fast with sips of water. You don't know what the sips of water? You know, some of us when we were in school a long time, we used to say, give me a wet. And when you take a wet, you're taking more than that. Half of the soft drink and the water gone. This is not what it means. The Prophet says, break your fast with sips of water. Likewise, after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, two men came to Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, may Allah be pleased with her. Ibn Atiyah and Masruq. And Al-Masruq, he says that I asked Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, may Allah be pleased with her. Ana wa Masruq. He said that I and Masruq, two great companions of the Prophet ﷺ, is asking the wife of the Prophet ﷺ after his demise. And he says that أَنَّ رَجُلَانِ لَا يَعُولُ الْخَيْرِ. That there are two companions of the Prophet ﷺ who never stop in doing good. They do not stop in doing good. And these two companions were Abu Musa al-Ash'ari and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhuma. May Allah be pleased with both of them. Pay attention to this hadith. This hadith falls in our time, in our era. This companion, Ibn Atiyah, went to the mother of the believers and another companion, Masruq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and went to her and informed and complained and said that there are two main members of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, where we get our theology from, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, where we get our fiqh from. Two great companions, remember their names. And the companion said about them, La ya'ul al-khayr. They never stop in doing good. The companion is saying about these two other companions. And someone says about us that we never stop doing good. And he said that of these two men, one of them, يَعَجِّلُ الْإِفْطَارُ وَالصَّلَاةِ. One of them hastened to break the fast and perform Salatul Maghrib. وَلَآخَرْ. And the other, يُؤَخِّرُ الْإِفْطَارُ وَالصَّلَاةِ. And the other one delays in breaking the fast and performing Salatul Maghrib. فقالت عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said, أيهما يعجل الإفطار والصلاة? Which one of them hasten to break the fast and perform Salatul Maghrib? فقال ابن عطية said, عبد الله ibn Mas'ud رضي الله تعالى عنه, Allah be pleased with him. فقالت Aisha رضي الله تعالى عنها, may Allah be pleased with her, said, كأنك يصنع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And that is the way the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم used to break his fast. So from this we understood the concept that when we are at the table in the month of Ramadan, when we are about to break our fast, whether it be in the masjid or whether it be our homes, whether it be at our businesses, for indeed you hasten to break the fast and you hasten to perform Salatul Maghrib. Today in our communities, today we break our fast with the song of the Adhan. For those who are in my fiqh class, Adhan is the song or the announcement for Salah. It is not the song or announcement to break the fast. So sometimes we find ourselves in a jeopardy. We find ourselves in a little problem. Because if we wait for the Adhan to break our fast, we are not hastening. The Prophet ﷺ hastened to break the fast. Because sometimes the mu'adhin, he might take a minute after, 2 minutes after he break his fast as well. So you wait until the mu'adhin break his fast, and then you break your fast when you hear the Adhan. And the second is as well, sometimes we wait for people to finish all the Adhan. This is not hastening to break the fast. The Prophet says hasten to break the fast and perform the Salatul Maghrib. But the next thing what happens in our masjid, in our communities, is because we not following and having sips of water and breaking our fast with a moist dates or a dry dates. We have samosa in our plate, we have an egg roll in our plate, we have a chicken puff in our plate, we have a roll in our plate, we have a sada roti in our plate. So knowing all of those things in our plate in front of us to break our fast, our mind and our stomach tells us, and our little ego, eat up all of that before they go and perform Salatul Maghrib. Isn't it true? And some of us, we are greedy Muslims and Hamans, we are greedy people. And if our brother never come next to us and his plate still remain there, hey, he left it, I'm going to eat it too. This is what happens. So therefore you are not hastening in breaking the fast and performing Salatul Maghrib. Understand the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ at the time of Ramadan when he used to break his fast at the table. He used to do what? Hasten to break the fast and hasten to perform Salatul Maghrib. Likewise, my dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, at the table in the morning for our pre-dawn meal, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, تَسَحَّرُوا فَإِنَّهُ بَرَكَةٌ. Have the pre-dawn meal, for indeed it is blessing. How is a pre-dawn meal blessing? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in another hadith, he explains how the pre-dawn meal is a blessing, how suhur, how sahri is a blessing. When he says, تَسَحَّرُوا, for indeed have the pre-dawn meal, فَإِنَّهُ surely and indeed it will give you the strength عَلَى سِيَامِ النَّحَارِ, upon the person who is fasting during the day. وَقَيْلُ اللَّهِ, for indeed having a little nap during the day, having a little rest during the day, Qiyamul Layl will give you the strength to stand and worship in the night time. So some of us as well, we don't have the pre-dawn meal, and sometimes we also miss it, and we also miss the Fajr. And when we miss the pre-dawn meal, we miss the Fajr, we go on our day fasting without it, and then we tend to feel very tired when we are at work. And when we tend to feel tired at work, when we break the fast in the evening, with all of that in our plates, what happens? We tend to become so tired, so fatigued, we won't be able to stand and worship in the night of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So look at how the Prophet ﷺ used to be in the month of Ramadan at his table. He would have the pre-dawn meal. He is informing us to have the pre-dawn meal because that will have the blessing for us during our day for those who fast. And if you can catch a little nap or a little sleep or a little rest during the day, take it. For indeed that will give you the energy to stand and worship in the night of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan. And this, many of us, we all have jobs here. And we all have our break. And some of us, we have our own bosses. We can take home anytime we want. So when you wake up in the morning, have your pre-dawn meal, perform Salatul Fajr, and go out to your work. And within that time frame in your work, take a small nap. Take some rest. Take that hour where you are fasting, you should take for your lunch, take a rest. And when you take that rest, let it be, have the intention. Because every ibadah, every act of worship is based on intention. So when you take that rest with intention to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the night, then you won't feel lazy when you have to recite the dhikr and the tasbih, like how some of us we do last night. Subhanallah, hey, you look like you're going to fall or dead. Some of you look like you're more sick than I sometimes. This is the reality. And the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us how to be and how to have that etiquette at the table. Likewise as well, the Prophet ﷺ one time saw a young boy, a young man, and he proclaimed and he shouted him and he said, "Ya Ghulam, oh young boy, what is the matter with you?" Because he saw this boy eating from different parts of his plate. He saw this young man, this young boy eating from different parts of his plate. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Qul biyaminik," eat with your right hand, or qul mimma yalik, and eat what is in front of you. Today you and I, when we see food, we pick everywhere, different parts. This is not from the etiquette of the table of the Prophet ﷺ. You eat with your right hand and eat what is in front of you. Today in our society, we are eating helter-skelter. And you know the reason for that is because we're talking with this one, we're talking with that one. And some of us, we have our phones out in front of us, and we're eating like this. We don't even know what is happening. We don't even see where we are going to put our hands, or put our spoons, or put our forks. Because we are so invigorated in the other action and the food that is prepared for us. Likewise, the Prophet ﷺ at the table of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ, al-baraka al-wudu'u qablahu wa ba'dahu. Blessings is in the food when a person washes his hands before and washes his hands after. How many of us, when we come to sit at the table to break our fast, we wash our hands before? And how many of us washes our hands after we break the fast? Huh? Some of us, we are so invigorated with the outside things that is going on into our minds. Sometimes when we take the date into our mouth, we chew it up and we take the seed with our fingers and put it right in. This is not the way either. At the table of the Prophet ﷺ, when he would take the date and put it into his mouth, he won't take his fingers on the front. He will place them on top of his two fingers, the index and the middle finger. Why is that? So you won't dirty his fingers from touching, because you don't know what you will touch after, what other food you might touch. You don't know what disease you have in you at the moment. So some of us, even so much, we become so filthy that even when we take the dates, we put it right outside there as well. Sometimes even some of us, we put it right by my bin, by the desk. This is how filthy we have become. We have forgotten the etiquette of the table, specifically in the month of Ramadan. My dear esteemed beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, likewise the Prophet ﷺ كان يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يعيب الطعام. He would never find defect in food. He would never find fault in any food. Whatever is prepared for him, You know, when we have iftar, what happens? Some of us, when we come and we see eating what we don't like, we say, how they could prepare this? What is this? How they could bring same fast to eat when time to break fast? This is not from the etiquette of the table of the Prophet ﷺ in the month of Ramadan. How can we complain about what is prepared for us? The Prophet ﷺ never find fault in the food prepared for him. Likewise, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that when the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم disliked a food, فَتَرَكَهُ وَسَكَتَ, he would leave it and he would keep quiet. If he never liked the food, he would leave it and he would keep quiet. Hey, let's be cooked food yet today. Hey, this food lacking salt. This food lacking pepper. Yo, who's the cook? Nah, that guy can cook better than me. We start to find different ways in making problems of the food. Instead of consuming it to fulfill our bellies, to stand in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, I'll conclude with this inshallah due to the lack of time, with the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَمَا آتَاكُمْ, whatever has come to you, ar-Rasul, from the messenger, خُذُوهُ, take it. This is not my words. This is not the words of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the words of his Lord. This is the words of our Lord. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding us that whatever the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam brought, meaning his characteristic, his traits, his etiquette, his way of life, take it with you. Implement it as much as possible. Specifically in this month of Ramadan, when we all wake up in the morning to have our fast, to start our fast and to break our fast. Wherever or whichever table you are, whether you sit on the floor, on the dustpan, whether you sit on the chair by the table, this is all we have to remember, the way the Prophet ﷺ broke his fast and the way he used to start his fast. Today we want to have faluda, this and that, milkshake, everything. Prophet ﷺ said, what if we didn't find any dates? Hassa hasawatun mah. Have sips of water and go straight into the Muslim soil. Don't look to see what is in the plate. Look at all of that. This is not what Ramadan is about. It's not to fill the stomachs. This is why Ramadan is known as, the previous Juma I mentioned, it is about the burning of the bellies. If you don't feel the burn of the bellies, then you're missing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing you with. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to inculcate in our hearts and our minds and in our practice the way we should be at the table spread, the way we should be at the table in the month of Ramadan. When we break our fast, strive, don't take the dates out of your mouth, place it on the top of your finger, chew your mouth and place it onto the plate. When you are here, you remove your plate as well, put it into the bin, come up straight, quickly as possible for Salat al-Maghrib. This is the methodology. This is the way. You don't need to drink a whole 2-liter Coke. You don't need to drink a whole 20-ounce Coke. You don't need to drink a whole liter of water. And if you can break your fast, break it with the moist dates and cucumbers. Even for the woman who, as I mentioned in the hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, if you want to have the beauty in your appearance and your physical beauty as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inculcate this in our practices. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to comprehend. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.